Hello students, welcome to lecture number 7 in Design and Analysis of Algorithms. Myself Vamsi, working as assistant professor in CSE department, VIT Visakhapatnam. Okay. In the last lecture number 6, we have discussed about asymptotic notations, right, in terms of big O, omega as well as theta. Nothing but in terms of worst cases, average cases and best cases. So in the current lecture, we will going to have a discussion on amortized analysis, which is going to be very important under unit 1 concepts. Okay. So first of all, you try to observe why this concept is very important and why this concept is required, and you try to understand why amortized analysis is required to measure the performance of an algorithm. Okay. Later we will go for the methods which are applied to this concept. So this is your unit 1 syllabus, right. So under unit 1 syllabus, in the previous lectures we have completed definition of an algorithm, pseudocode conventions, recursive algorithm, and analysis in terms of time complexity as well as space complexity also we have completed. And later in the last concept lecture itself we have discussed about asymptotic notations, right. Now in the current lecture we are going to cover amortized analysis. Okay. So as I said previously, this concept will cover under unit number 2. Okay. To understand master theorem, definitely you need to have knowledge on substitution method. So first, after completing substitution method in unit number 2, again we'll come back to unit number 1 to complete this concept. You try to remember. Okay. So the main contents we are going to be discussed in this lecture are definition of amortized analysis, followed by we'll see the methods which are involved to apply this amortized analysis. The first one is aggregate method, accounting method and potential method. Okay. So total 3 methods are there. Among these 3 methods, aggregate method is very important. Okay. So if you understand aggregate method, then ultimately it is very easy to understand accounting method as well as potential method. So after discussion among of these 3 methods, we will discuss one example. So one example application is there, that is going to be the maintenance contract. So with the help of that example, you will understand how these 3 methods will going to be works to get this amortized analysis. Okay. The main objective of this lecture, you are going to be understand the concept of amortized complexity, and the main outcome of this lecture is you are going to be acquire the knowledge on these amortized methods, so that you will get an idea how this amortized analysis will work as well as what is the importance of this amortized analysis. Okay. Now you try to observe this example. So here I am taking a sequence of instructions, so which contains instructions with operations insertion as well as deletion. So how many insertions of the operations are there in this sequence of instructions? Definitely you try to assume these sequence of operations are available in one algorithm. Okay. So it contains 7 insertion operations and 2 deletion operations. So total how many instructions which are available in the sequence of this algorithm? 9. Now we try to observe the example whatever I am going to be discussing. So based on this example only you will going to be understand why this concept is required. First of all, you try to observe case 1 analysis. So in the case 1, I am assuming that insertion will going to be takes the actual cost 1, and deletion operation will also going to be takes the actual cost as 1. Actual cost means the cost which is needed to apply that operation. To apply this insertion operation, the cost is 1. To apply deletion operation, the cost is also 1. So I am assuming that the insertion as well as deletion operation both are having equal cost, which is going to be the best case. Okay, in best case, with one cost only you are going to be performing insertion operation. With one cost you are going to be performing deletion operation. I can say this case as my best case. Now, how many insertion operations are available in this sequence? Total 7 are there. Now, what is the total cost to perform 7 number of insertion operation in this example? Total 7. 7 is the cost. 7 insertion operations are there. Each instruction which is going to be occupies actual cost which is 1. So, total cost to perform 7 insertions operation are 7 only. Now, what is the cost to perform deletion operation? How many deletion operations are available in this sequence? Deletion 1 is there, here deletion 2 is there, 2 deletion operation is there. Each operation of deletion will going to be takes 1 actual cost. So, the total cost to perform these 2 deletion operation is 2 only, and the total time complexity of this algorithm to perform 7 insertions as well as 2 deletion operations is going to be 9. Okay. Now, you try to observe the next case. So, in the case number 2, I am assuming that insertion operation which takes only 1 cost, but deletion operation which takes the worst case 8. Okay. So, to apply insertion operation, the cost is going to be only 1, but for the deletion operation, the cost is 8. So, if you observe this case, so insertion cost as well as the deletion cost is going to be different, right? Okay, so insertion operation will be performed with best case and deletion operation will be performed with worst case. Okay, to apply one deletion operation, you need to have 8 actual cost as 8. Okay, so in these cases, definitely you are going to get a problem, right? So now we try to observe one example. So in this example, I am assuming that insertion operation takes actual cost as 1, and for first deletion operation, it takes actual cost as 8. For the second deletion operation, it takes actual cost as 10. Okay, insertion will going to be occupies actual cost as 1, and deletion, first deletion operation occupies 8 as actual cost, and to perform second deletion operation in this sequence, it occupies 10 as a actual cost. Okay. Now, can you tell me what is the total time complexity for this case if I follow these costs? In the previous case, all the insertion as well as deletion operation can be done at best case, best time complexities. But here insertion is done at best case, but coming to the deletion operation, we are moving to the worst case, right? So if you observe very carefully, after executing I1 and I2, your algorithm still runs in best case. And after executing D1, so up to I2, what is the cost of the current time complexity of your algorithm? So how many operations you have performed? 2 insertion operations you have performed. So up to 2 iterations, the time complexity of your algorithm is 2. But after executing D1, so the cost of D1 is 8, right? So your algorithm will going to be have a total time complexity up to D1 is previously the cost is 2 and the cost to perform D1 is 8. So total time complexity is 10. Okay, from 2 you are moving to 8, you are moving to 10. Okay, so if the insertion operation as well as deletion operation takes equal cost, in that case there is no problem. The entire time complexity to execute this sequence of instructions will going to be best case. But coming to this case, the insertion is executing with best case, but the deletion cost will going to be occupies worst case. So that the nature of the algorithm performance is going to be disturbed. Okay, after executing D1, up to I2, the time complexity is 2. After executing D1, because of this D1, your algorithm will move to generate the total time complexity is 10. Okay. So after executing I3, I4 and I5 and I6, So how many insertions operations are there? Total 4 are there. So which is going to be 10 plus 4, nothing but 14. But what about D2? What is the cost to perform D2 operation, which is going to be 10? This is my assumption only. Okay. So ultimately from 10 to, so from 14 to, due to this D2 cost, you are moving to 24 as a total time complexity of this algorithm. And after executing I7, the total time complexity is going to be 24 plus 1, which is going to be 25. So in the case 1 of my example, I got total time complexity to execute all these instructions is going to be 9, right? Why? Because I am assuming that insertion occupies actual cost as 1 and deletion also occupies actual cost as 1. But if you observe this case, insertion is executing with best case, but deletion will going to be executing worst cases. Okay. So because of these worst cases of only some instructions, the entire time complexity of your algorithm is affecting. Okay, that is the main theme you need to understand. So due to this D1 and D2, the entire time complexity is of your algorithm is affecting. Why? Because insertion operation is working with best time complexity, but deletion operation is working with worst time complexity. So because of some instructions which are available in the algorithm, the entire performance of your algorithm is going to be affecting. So that's why you required amortized analysis to convert the worst case performance algorithm into average cases. From worst case to best case, it is not possible. It is still a open problem. Okay, but by using this amortized analysis, you can have a capability to convert the worst case performance algorithms into average cases. That can be possible with this analysis. Now you try to observe the methods which are involved in this amortized analysis to convert the worst case algorithm into average cases. Okay. Okay. The total time complexity of the above sequence is 25. Why? Because insertion is occupying with the actual cost 1, but to perform D1 it is taking as a worst case 8, and to perform D2 it is taking a worst case as 10. So the total time complexity to execute all these 9 instructions is going to be 25. Now your task is to reduce the charge actual cost. Okay. So that's why you require amortized analysis to convert the worst case algorithms into average case performance. Okay. Now we need to prove the amortized cost is going to be lesser than actual cost. So actual cost is nothing but the amount of cost which is going to be needed to apply that instruction. Okay. Now your task is to prove amortized cost is lesser than actual cost. But here you try to observe a reverse engineering approach, which is going to be, I am going to be assuming that my amortized cost is greater. So what is the main output you need to prove? Amortized cost is lesser than actual cost. But here I am applying a simple reversing engineering approach. Here I am assuming that amortized cost is greater than actual cost. So if I prove this statement, ultimately my analysis is going to be correct. Okay. So now you just assume and you try to observe how to convert this statement into a mathematical form. Okay. So the statement will be going to be converted into a mathematical form like this. Okay. So amortized cost of I will going to be greater than or equal to actual of I. What is meant by amortized of I? The amortized cost to for the ith operation. What is meant by actual of I? The amount of actual cost to apply the ith operation. Okay, I am assuming that my amortized cost is greater than to my actual cost. That's why greater than or equal to symbol is there. So try to find out try to understand the meaning of this mathematical equation. Okay. So the amortized of I means the amortized cost for the ith operation. Actual of I means the actual cost for the ith operation. Now can you tell me your algorithm is having how many number of operations or how many number of instructions? N number of instructions. So this amortizer of I is giving the cost for only ith operation or ith instruction, but your algorithm is having n number of operations, right? Now how to get the amortized cost for all the operations or for all the instructions? So ultimately you need to apply the sum on all the operations which are available in the algorithm, so that you can have a capability to get the total amortized cost of your algorithm as well as total actual cost of your algorithm. Okay. So in the above equation, amortized of I as well as actual of I will denotes the amortized cost as well as actual cost for the only ith operation. Now to get the amortized cost as well as actual cost for all the instruction or for all the operations, ultimately you need to apply sum. So sum you need to apply on amortized complexities for all the operations as well as actual complexities for all the operations. Okay. So ultimately you require sigma now. So if I apply sigma on this amortizer of I as well as actual of I, my mathematical equation is going to be looks like this. So your algorithm is having how many number of instructions? N number of instructions. So that's why sigma 1 less than or equal to I less than or equal to n. So I defines ith operation or ith instructions. The algorithm is having 1 to n number of operations or 1 to n number of instructions. So amortizer of I, which defines amortized cost of ith operation. So that's why I am applying sigma to my amortizer of I, so that I can have a capability to get the amortized cost for all the operations which are available in your algorithm. So likewise actual cost also. So actual of I, which is giving the actual cost for ith operation. If I am applying sigma on this actual of I, ultimately I can have a capability to get the actual cost for all the operations which are available in my algorithm. Okay. Now just convert this mathematical equation in the form of, if you observe here in this mathematical equation, the actual of I is available at RHS part, right? So what happens if I move this RHS part to LHS? So definitely at RHS the actual of I will going to be looks like a positive value. So if I move this RHS part to LHS, ultimately this mathematical equation will be converted as amortized of I minus actual of I greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So you try to convert this RHS part to LHS, so that at LHS the actual of I is going to be becomes a negative value like this. So amortizer of I minus actual of I is going to be greater than or equal to 0. You try to remember this equation so that you can have a capability to expand or to analyze the remaining mathematical calculations. Okay. So now after having these mathematical equations, you need to have a potential function. First of all, why you require a potential function? Based on that potential function only, you can have a capability to find out the differences between amortized cost as well as actual cost, so that you can have a capability to understand the dependencies between the current instruction cost as well as the previous instruction cost. Okay. So in the previous discussion, we have seen one example, right? I1, I2, D1. So because of that D1, my entire time complexity of algorithm is affecting. Okay. So to find out the time complexity after performing the D1 operation, ultimately I need to carry the cost to perform deletion operation as well as the previous cost also. Then only I can conclude the total time complexity of my algorithm for that sequence is 10. So I1, I2, D1. So D1 occupies 8, I1, I2 occupies 1 plus 1. So 1 plus 1 plus 8 is going to be 10. Okay. So you require a potential function to understand the differences between amortized cost as well as actual cost as well as the previous instructions cost also. Okay. Now my potential function is going to be look like this. P of I is nothing but the potential function for the ith operation, and this equation you know. Just now we have seen the differences between amortized cost for ith operation as well as the actual cost for ith operation. And what about this P of I minus 1? This defines the potential cost for the previous operation. Then only I can have a capability to get the total cost for the current operation, right? Okay, so based on this principle only, you are going to be have a potential function. Now we try to find out. So this P of I is giving the potential function for ith operation only. Now your algorithm is having how many number of operations and number of operations. Now how to get the time complexity or how to get the potential function for all the operations which are available in your algorithm? Here also you require sum, nothing but sigma you required, right? So this is going to be my master equation number 2. So if I apply the sum on equation number 2 for all the operations which are available from 1 to n, then ultimately my equation is going to be look like this. So P of I denotes the potential function for ith operation. If you apply sigma on P of I, ultimately it produces the potential function for all the instructions which are starting from 1 to n. So likewise I am applying sigma to my amortized cost minus amortized of I minus actual of I plus P of I minus 1. Now you try to expand this equation. So how to expand this equation? You try to move this RHS part of P of I minus 1 to LHS, so that this positive value of P of I minus 1 will be converted as a negative value, like this. So like this I am moving the RHS part of P of I minus 1 to LHS, so that the positive value at RHS will be converted as a negative value. Now my task is to find out the value for this LHS part. Now how to find out? So this is my master equation number 3. Now try to expand this LHS part of your master equation number 3. So how many n number of elements are there? What is the sigma parameter is there? 1 to n. So you try to apply the 1 to n values in P of I as well as P of I minus 1. So this will going to be look like, so if I take I value as a 1, it is going to be look like P of 1. If I take I value as a 2, then ultimately it is look like P of 2. For next one, P of 3. Plus so on up to plus P of n, right? Why? Because here the range is 1 to n. Okay, now minus. Now we try to submit 1 to n range in I minus 1 potential function parameter. Okay, so if you submit I value as a 1, ultimately here minus 1 is there. So 1 minus 1 will going to be gives 0. Minus for next one, next value, it going to be look like 1. Why? Because for the next value I will be becomes 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. For the next value minus 3. So likewise so on up to minus P of n minus 1. Okay, I am submitting I value as n for the last iteration. Now you try to focus on, is there any terms will going to be gets cancelled with each other? So ultimately the terms will going to be gets cancelled with each other, plus P of 1 minus P of 1 plus P of 2, here also minus P of 2 is available, right? That is also going to be gets cancelled, and plus P of 3 minus P of 3. So likewise here also plus P of n minus 1 will be available. This plus P n minus 1 and minus P n minus 1 will going to be gets cancelled, and you will get the remaining terms as P of n minus P of 0. So what is meant by P of n? Potential function for the nth operation. And what is meant by P of 0? Potential function for the 0th operation. There is no 0th operation in your algorithm, in every algorithm. So now you can assume this term equal to 0. So that my potential function after expanding this value is going to be P of n For every operation, this potential function must be greater than 0. Always positive values must be acceptable. What happens if I get potential function value as a negative? Okay, ultimately my analysis is going to be wrong. So for every potential function, you need to have a value must be in a positive only. Greater than or equal to 0. 0 also can be acceptable, but negative values are not at all acceptable. Why? Because we have cancelled everything. Okay. So if you expand, ultimately you are going to get values like this. So therefore now I am going to be submitting this P of n minus P of 0 in this LHS part, so that my LHS part will be changed like this. So as I said previously, I am assuming P of 0 equal to 0, so that my equation is going to be becomes the P of n minus P of 0 must be greater than 0. That means the potential function for every operation must be positive. Negative values are not at all acceptable. Okay. So this is going to be my mathematical analysis. We will see one example now, how to apply the methods which are associated to my amortized analysis based on the previous discussion on mathematical equations. So here I am going to have an example name which is named as maintenance contract. So try to assume you bought a new car from a dealer. Now you just want to go for a service center for maintenance of your car in various months. Okay. So the charges for service your car is going to be like this. So they will charge $50 for January, February, April, May, July, August, October as well as November. How many months are there? For 8 months. For these 8 months, they will charge $50. And they will charge $100 for servicing your car in March, June, September. In these 3 months, they are going to be charged $100. And for December month, they are going to be charged $200. So December means only 1 month. So every year is having how many months? Total 12 months are there. So here 8 is available, here 3 is available, here 1 is available. So here is having 12 months. So these are the chart, the price chart to have a service for my car. So definitely how many types of cost they are charging? They are charging $50. In some months they are charging $100. In some months they are charging $200. So ultimately, so in particular 8 months they are charging with a best cost, but coming to the December they are charging the worst cost, as well as $100 also a big cost, right? Nothing but a worst cost. Now, so you try to have this maintenance contract to your amortized analysis for applying these three methods: aggregate method, accounting method, as well as potential method. As I said previously, aggregate method is very, very important. If you understand aggregate method, definitely it is very to understand accounting as well as potential. Okay. Now we try to focus on how to apply the aggregate method on this example to convert these worst cases into a amortized cost. Now, so we will see about first method, aggregate method. So this is the example, right? So they are charging $1 for 8 months, and they are charging $100 for 3 months, and they are charging $200 for December. Now here you need to apply the aggregate method on this example. So what is meant by aggregation? Nothing but an average, right? Sum of all the elements by n. So the simple formula I am applying here. So my formula is going to be upper bound value of all the cost. I need to apply sum by n. Now here for how many months they are charging $50? So they are charging $50 for 8 months. A year has having n number of months, 8 months, by what is the n value? Every year has having how many number of months? 12 months. Plus for how many months they are charging $100 for 3 number of months by 12, plus for how many months they are charging $200? Only 1 month. So 200 into of 1 into n by 12. So ultimately, so this is going to be my aggregation on this example for $50 as well as $100 as well as $200. Now you try to observe how this equation is going to be look like. So after applying this aggregation method, I am going to be get this equation. Now try to take 12 as a LCM. So if you take 12 as a LCM, ultimately the numerator is going to be becomes 900. So 900 by 12 is going to be gives 75 into n. Try to neglect this n. For understanding sake only we are taking. So now based on this aggregate method, what is the amortized cost you got? Which is going to be 75. What is the actual cost they given? They given actual cost, first cost as $50 and second actual cost as $100 and third actual cost as 200. But based on this aggregate method, I got amortized cost as 75. Now we try to observe how this amortized cost will be used for to apply this amortized analysis. Okay. Now, so this is my tabulation method. Okay, so I have converted my example in a tabulation way. Okay. So first one, months. So year is having how many months? From January to December. I have taken everything, all the months. Now coming to the second parameter, actual cost. So how to get the actual cost? In the example they given, right? So they are charging 100 for March, June and September. All the values I have arranged in a tabulation form. And they are charging 200 for December, and for remaining months the actual cost is 50. In the example itself, they given everything. Now based on this aggregate method, what is the amortized cost I got? 75. That's why all the values under amortized cost will be filled with 75. Why? Because of this, based on this aggregate method, I got amortized cost as 75. Now how to get this potential function? How to fill this potential function? Now, so as per the previous discussion on mathematical formulas, I got a formula for potential function of P of I, right? So what is the formula? P of I equal to amortized cost of I minus actual of I plus P of I minus 1. P of I minus 1, P of I defines current instruction, P of I minus 1 defines previous instruction. Now your task is to fill this last row. Now what is the value that will be available at first column of January? So what happens if I apply potential function on January? So what is the amortized cost it is available? 75. What is the actual cost for January? Minus 50 plus. Is there any previous month which is available to January? Nothing is available, right? Now consider it as a 0. So 75 minus 50 is going to be 25. So the value under January column for your potential function is 25. Now coming to the potential function of February. Try to have more concentration here. Okay. So 75 is the amortized cost and 50 is my actual cost plus. So is there any previous month which is available to February? January is available. So what is the potential function? What is the potential value for the January? 25. Now this is going to be 25 plus 25, which is going to be 50. Now try to fill 50 under February in terms of potential function. Now we try to apply potential function for March. Likewise, you need to apply for all the months. So what is the amortized cost here? 75 minus, what is the actual cost for March? 100. What is the previous potential value for February? 50. Now it is going to be generates. So here 75 minus 100 minus 25 plus 50, which is going to be plus 25, right? So likewise you need to fill each and every potential value for all the months, so that at last at a December position you need to have a positive value. So in the previous mathematical equations you are having one analysis, right? The P of n value must be greater than or equal to 0. So if you get any negative value at here, ultimately your analysis is going to be wrong. So definitely you must have a positive value at December. Now try to observe how to fill the potential function values for this example in the aggregate method. So you are going to be analyzing all the potential values like this. Okay, like this you try to apply for remaining months. So the values will be updated like this. Now if you observe what is the potential function value for the December, you got 0 or not? Yes. How you got 0? 75 minus 200, which is minus 125, minus 125 plus 125, which is going to be gives 0. So definitely the potential function must be greater than or equal to 0. So ultimately I got 0 value here. That is going to be the positive value. So if I get any negative value at here, ultimately my entire analysis is going to be gets wasted. My analysis is going to be wrong. Now how we are saying your analysis is correct or wrong? With the help of this potential function parameter only. So now try to focus on the next method, accounting method. So with the help of aggregate method, I got amortized cost as 75. So if the amortized cost as 75, ultimately I got potential function value as 0. Okay. So what happens if the amortized cost as less than 75? So ultimately I will get negative value or not for the potential function. So now with the help of this accounting method, I am going to be verify whether my aggregate method produced amortized cost 75 is correct or wrong. As I said previously, you need to have more concentration on aggregate method. If you understand aggregate method, remaining methods are very easy. Why? Because remaining methods, accounting as well as potential method, will be used to verify the answer or verify the solution for aggregate method only. Okay. Now here I am assuming that instead of applying the mathematical analysis to get the amortized cost, I am taking amortized cost randomly, simply $70. So with the help of aggregate method, I got amortized cost as 75. Now I am going to be verifying that whether this answer is correct or not. So that's why I have taken randomly amortized cost value which is less than 75. So I am taking here it is a 70. If I get negative value, ultimately my analysis is not correct. Now, so if you take all the amortized cost as a 70 like this, so ultimately how the potential function values will be updating? 70 minus 50, which is 20. Now 70 minus 50, which is going to be 20, 20 plus 20 is going to be 40. So like 70 minus 100, which is minus 30. So minus 30 plus 40, which is 10. So likewise for the December, you are going to be have 70 minus 200, which is going to be minus 130, minus 130 plus 70, which is going to be gives minus 60. Here you got the potential function for the last month as negative value. So ultimately I can say that the aggregate method actual amortized cost 75 is correct. Why? Because if I take any value randomly less than $75, ultimately I got a negative value. So because based on this accounting method, you can have a capability to recheck whether the aggregate method solution is correct or not. Okay. So likewise you are going to be have. So for December month you are going to be get a negative value. So ultimately I can say that my aggregate method solution is correct. Now coming to the last method, potential method. So this potential method will going to be depending upon the final tabulation values under aggregate method. Okay. So this method also will going to be depends upon the aggregate method, but it purely depending upon the table, the final table at aggregate method. Okay. So based on the table only you are going to be have a capability to get the potential function. So this is my table, right? So I got at this table at aggregate method. Why? Because at December I got a 0 value. Now we try to focus how to convert this table into a potential function way. So the potential function is going to be look like this. So how many months are there? 12 months are there. So the months which are starting from 0 to 11. Okay. So n mod 12. So n can be any month, January, February, March up to December. So if you are getting, what happens if I take n equal to 12, 12 mod 12, that is going to be 0, nothing but 0. So you will get the value potential function value 0 for the remainder 0 value. Now you are getting potential function 25 for how many months? For the first month, for the third month, right? That's why here it has 1 or 3. Now I am going to get a potential function value 50 for how many months? For the second month, for the fourth month, as well as for the 6th month. So that's why here it is declared as 2 or 4 or 6. And for how many months I am going to get a potential value as 75 for 5th month, 7th month as well as 9th month. That's why here it declared as 5th month or 7th month or 9th month. And at how many months I am going to be get the potential value as 100. Ultimately it can be possible at 8th month as well as 10th month. That's why here it is declared as 8 or 10. So based on this aggregate method table, you can have a capability to convert this into a potential function. Why? Because here in the aggregate method you are finding potential function, right? But in the potential method you are finding amortized cost. It's simply a reverse approach. Okay. Now we try to observe how it is going to be happening. So this is my potential function formula. In the potential method I am going to be finding the amortized cost. So what is the amortized cost you got for the aggregate method? 75, right? Now I am going to be rechecking whether for every potential function, based on the potential function, whether I am going to be get 75 or not. So you try to convert this RHS part of amortized I into LHS, so that my equation is going to be look like this. Okay. So ultimately the P of I will going to be converted as will be moved to RHS part. So my formula is going to be look like this. Simply I am moving amortized I to LHS and P of I to RHS. Now your task is to find amortized cost based on the aggregate method table. So this is my aggregate method table, right? Now you try to apply amortized cost for every month to check whether for every month you are going to be get the same amortized cost or not. Okay. First you try to apply amortized cost on January. What is the formula? Actual cost of January. What is the actual cost of January? 50 plus P of I, right? So what is the P of I value of January? 25. Ultimately there is no P of I minus 1. There is no previous method for January, right? So it will be considered as 0. So 50 plus 25 is going to be gives 75. This is the way I am rechecking the amortized cost with the help of actual as well as potential. In the aggregate method, you are finding potential function with the help of actual and amortized. But here you are finding amortized with the help of actual and potential. Now you try to apply amortized cost on February. So what is the actual cost of February? 50 plus what is the potential value for February? 50 minus what is the potential value for January? P of I minus 1, right? 25. So ultimately 50 plus 50 is 100 minus 25 will going to be generates 75. So this is the way you are going to be verifying whether for all the months you are going to be get amortized cost as same or not. If you got all the amortized cost for every month as 75, then ultimately I can say that my aggregate method is correct. Okay. So both the potential method as well as counting method will use it to verify the solution of your aggregate method only. That is the main thing you need to observe. So with the help of this amortized cost, I will going to be get all the amortized cost as 75 only. This is the way you are going to be verifying. Okay. So as of now we have seen the procedure as well as mathematical calculations behind the amortized analysis, and followed by we have seen aggregate method and how to apply to a particular example, and followed by we have seen counting method, followed by we have seen accounting method, followed by we have seen potential method, and we have seen one maintenance contract also. So with that example only we have learned how the aggregate method, accounting method as well as potential method will going to be works. Okay. Now try to take this one as a assignment. So in this assignment, so what they have given is like maintenance contract as we discussed now. So there is a company which is named as MC Widget, and this procedure will be available at Sahani textbook, and the example number is 1.2. You try to refer this exercise which is available at Sahani textbook under example 1.2. Okay. So you try to apply this amortized analysis on this company analysis chart or company sales chart. Okay. That's the end of this class. Thank you. Okay.